If you've been feeling increasingly unsettled by the rise of artificial intelligence, if you've found yourself questioning what is real, what is authentic, and whether anything or anyone can still be trusted at face value, then I invite you to stay with me until the end of this video, because what we are witnessing may be far more than a technological revolution. AI is playing a crucial role in humanity's spiritual awakening by challenging us to develop deeper discernment, greater authenticity, and a more conscious relationship with truth itself. In this video, we will be delving deeper into the role and purpose of AI in humanity's spiritual awakening and the timing of its emergence during this period of profound personal and collective transformation. Rather than viewing AI solely as a technological advancement or as a potential threat to our way of life, we will explore how it is encouraging us to cultivate greater integrity, honesty, self-awareness, and personal responsibility at a time when these qualities are becoming more important than ever. Hello, beloved souls, it's Adele here. Over the past few years, artificial intelligence has entered almost every area of our lives at a speed few people could have predicted. Images can now be generated in seconds, voices can be cloned with remarkable accuracy, deepfake videos can convincingly impersonate public figures, and entire works can be produced with the assistance of increasingly sophisticated technology. In some industries, AI is already beginning to replace tasks once performed by human workers, raising questions not only about the future of employment, but also about the changing relationship among human beings, work, life purpose, and contribution. As AI usage becomes more common, many people are experiencing a growing sense of uncertainty. Something fundamental seems to be changing in the way we relate to information, creativity, communication, and even our perception of reality itself. Today, when we encounter a beautiful photograph online, we may wonder whether it was captured by a human being or generated by artificial intelligence. When we hear a voice, watch a video, see a beautiful piece of artwork, or read a social media post, an essay, or an email, we increasingly find ourselves asking questions that would have seemed unusual only a few years ago. Questions like, was this created by a person or by a machine? Is it authentic or artificial? Am I looking at reality, or am I looking at a highly convincing imitation? We are already seeing examples of this in the online world, where AI-generated deepfakes are being illegally used to recreate the faces and voices of well-known public figures and place them into videos or stories that they never actually participated in creating. As these technologies become more convincing, many viewers may not immediately realize that what they are watching is not genuine, raising important questions about consent, authenticity, transparency, and ethical responsibility. Although these concerns appear to be about technology, I believe they point towards something much deeper. Underneath any discussion about AI lies an ancient spiritual question. How do we recognize truth in a world filled with appearances? The search for truth has always been one of humanity's oldest spiritual journeys. Long before artificial intelligence existed, spiritual seekers were asking how to distinguish what merely appears to be true from what is genuinely true. Long before we worried about AI-generated images and voices, we were already navigating a world of masks, projections, assumptions, misunderstandings, and carefully constructed identities. In many ways, the questions raised by AI are not new. What is new is that these questions now appear directly in front of us every day, compelling us to examine them more consciously than ever before. Perhaps this is why so many people feel uncomfortable or uncertain when they think about the future of AI. The discomfort may not arise solely from the technology itself. It may arise because AI is confronting us with a question that sits at the very heart of the spiritual path. How do we recognize what is real? And if information can be copied, reproduced, and distributed with unprecedented ease, and reality itself can be imitated with increasing precision, what qualities must we develop within ourselves so that we can continue to recognize truth regardless of what appears before our eyes? These are the questions I invite you to hold in your awareness as we continue. When we look more closely at artificial intelligence, it becomes clear that we are not just looking at a technology, we are looking at a reflection. Not a reflection of machines, but a reflection of humanity itself. AI is not separate from humanity. It was created by human beings, trained on human data, shaped by human decisions, and guided by human priorities. In many ways, AI is playing the role of a spiritual mirror to the collective consciousness that built and used it. And as a mirror of humanity, what it reflects is never neutral. If humanity approaches AI with a genuine intention to support life, reduce suffering, and improve well-being, then AI can become a powerful tool for things like earlier medical detection, faster emergency response, improved access to education, and practical support in areas where human systems have historically struggled to reach everyone equally. For example, in modern healthcare, AI-assisted systems are already being used to help doctors detect conditions such as certain cancers or eye diseases earlier than would otherwise be possible. In those situations, it is not the AI that is compassionate, but the human intention behind its use that allows suffering to be reduced through earlier intervention and treatment. But the same reflective quality works in the opposite direction as well. If human systems are driven by profit above all else, AI can amplify efficiency in ways that replace human roles without care for transition or impact. If misinformation is prioritized, AI can accelerate its spread. If misinformation is valued over truth, AI can generate convincing yet misleading content without personal accountability or linguistic responsibility. This is why AI is not just a technological development. It is also a consciousness amplifier. It reflects to us the priorities we are embedding into it. And this is where the deeper invitation begins to emerge. If AI is reflecting humanity to itself, then the question is no longer only, what can AI do? The question becomes, what does AI reveal about who we are becoming? What does it amplify in us? And what does it expose that we may not have wanted to see? When you stand in front of a mirror, there is no escaping what is reflected. You see yourself as you are in that moment, without distortion, without negotiation. In the same way, the way we use AI reflects something about our inner world, our consciousness, our values, and the level of honesty and integrity we're operating from. And so, the next time we use AI, remember that we are not just using a technological tool, but also looking into a mirror that reflects our own consciousness. Whether we use it to serve, educate, create, and uplift, or to mislead, manipulate, and cause harm, will ultimately reveal far more about us than it does about the technology itself. One of the reasons I find the rise of artificial intelligence so fascinating is that it reflects something I had already begun noticing long before AI became part of everyday life. The deeper I have traveled along my spiritual path, the less I have experienced physical reality as the ultimate truth of existence. There is also a growing awareness that what we see with our physical eyes is only one layer of reality, not the whole of it. Perhaps the simplest way I can describe it is this. Reality begins to feel a little more like a hologram. When people hear the word hologram, they sometimes assume it means something is fake or meaningless. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that the physical world begins to feel less like the deepest level of reality and more like a temporary projection arising from something greater beneath it. For example, when you think about your life 10 or 20 years ago, almost everything has changed. Your circumstances have changed. Your priorities have changed. Your understanding of yourself has changed. Yet despite all of those changes, there is still a deeper sense of you that has remained present throughout the entire journey. The more we awaken spiritually, the more our attention naturally shifts toward the presence within. We become less fascinated by appearances and more interested in what lies beneath them, both within ourselves and within others. Image becomes less important, while truth, authenticity, and essence become far more meaningful. This is why the ancient Hermetic principle, as above, so below, as within, so without, feels so relevant today. What takes place within consciousness eventually finds expression in the world around us. And this is exactly what we are seeing now. As humanity becomes increasingly aware that appearances do not always reveal the full truth, technologies capable of creating convincing artificial realities are appearing all around us. As we learn to question what we see online, we are also being invited to ask deeper questions about ourselves. Who am I beyond my roles and labels? Who am I when I am not being a parent, a spouse, a son or daughter, a business owner, an employee, a teacher, a student, or a friend? And what remains when all of those identities inevitably change? These questions sit at the very heart of spiritual awakening because they invite us to discover the deeper self that exists beneath every role we will ever play. From this perspective, the rise of AI is not separate from humanity's awakening. The growing ability of technology to simulate reality is reflecting the same invitation taking place within us, to look beyond appearances, to seek what is real, and to reconnect with the deeper truth of who we are. When I meditated on the higher purpose of AI, I was shown that AI functions both as a test and as an invitation. It is a test of humanity's readiness to evolve, but it is also an invitation to consciously choose the direction of that evolution. For the first time in history, humanity has access to a technology capable of generating information, ideas, images, voices, and content at a speed and scale that would have been difficult to imagine only a few decades ago. Yet the most important question is not what this technology can do. The real question is, what will we choose to do with it? Will we use it to serve, educate, create, heal, and uplift? Or will we use it to deceive, manipulate, exploit, harm, and divide? The AI technology itself cannot make that choice. It simply reflects the consciousness behind its use. In that sense, AI has become a kind of moment of truth for humanity. It invites us to look honestly at our values, our intentions, and the future we wish to help create. Because every choice we make with a tool this powerful contributes, in some small way, to the direction our world is moving. The future that emerges from AI will not be determined by technology alone. It will be shaped by the wisdom, integrity, and responsibility of the people choosing how to use it. And perhaps that is the deeper invitation hidden within all of this, because AI is not only asking what kind of future we want to create, but what kind of human beings we want to become. One thing I have noticed throughout life is that every creation carries both potential and risk within it. A knife can prepare a nourishing meal or cause harm. Electricity can power a hospital or a weapon of mass destruction. The tool itself is not the deciding factor. What matters is the consciousness of the person using it. The same is true of artificial intelligence. Much of the conversation around AI tends to swing between fear and excitement, yet neither side tells the whole story. Like any powerful tool, AI can be used in ways that support life and human well-being, or in ways that cause harm. The shadow expression of AI appears when it's used to deceive, manipulate, exploit, spread misinformation, or pursue profit without responsibility. Its higher expression emerges when it is used to educate, create, solve problems, advance knowledge, support well-being, and contribute something meaningful to the world. When two people use the same technology, they can produce completely different outcomes. Someone who values compassion, honesty, integrity, and truth will naturally bring those qualities into the way they use AI. On the other hand, someone driven by greed, deception, self-interest, or power over others may use that same technology very differently. The tool has not changed. The person using it has. That's why we need to be careful about making quick assumptions simply because AI was involved in the process. An honest person does not suddenly become dishonest because they use AI as a tool, just as someone using a calculator does not become less intelligent because technology assisted them. What matters is not merely whether AI was used, but how it was used, how much genuine human involvement remained, and whether the person behind the work stayed conscious, responsible, and accountable for what they created and shared. And this is why AI does not remove our responsibility. If anything, it increases it. The more powerful the tool becomes, the more important it is that the person using it is guided by wisdom, integrity, discernment, and a genuine desire to contribute. Another possible outcome of AI is that it may free many people from some of the repetitive and mechanical tasks that have occupied so much of human life for generations. If that happens, we may find ourselves facing a much deeper question than simply which jobs will change or disappear. As I shared in my video, falling in love with what you do, true fulfillment rarely comes from forcing ourselves into roles that are misaligned with who we really are. It comes from discovering our natural gifts, our deeper values, and the unique contribution we are here to make. Perhaps one of the opportunities hidden within this technological shift is an invitation for more people to move toward work that feels meaningful, purposeful, and aligned with their authentic selves. Because if machines increasingly handle some of the repetitive aspects of life, humanity may be called to develop the qualities that make us most deeply human: creativity, compassion, wisdom, healing, teaching, service, and authentic connection. And in the end, the future shaped by AI will not be determined by the technology itself. It will be determined by the consciousness, values, and intentions of the people choosing how to use it. What stands out most is not what artificial intelligence can do, but what it cannot do, because it cannot accumulate wisdom through lived experience. When something genuinely moves us, it is rarely the information alone. It is the depth behind it, the challenges, lessons, mistakes, and inner transformations that have shaped the person sharing it. This is why people naturally trust those who have actually lived what they are speaking about, whether in business, grief, healing, or personal growth. It is not simply because they know more. It is because there is a certain weight to their words, a weight that can only come from direct experience. That quality is what I call an energetic signature, the imprint left by a life that has been fully lived, felt, and integrated, and it is something most people can recognize even if they cannot quite put it into words. It is also why two people can communicate the same idea yet create completely different effects in those who receive it, because what reaches us is never just the message itself, but the essence of the person behind it. Everything we create carries that imprint, and what cannot be replaced is the human spirit itself. The awareness, depth, and unique perspective that shape how something is expressed and brought into the world. That is what gives a piece of writing, a work of art, a song, a teaching, or even a simple conversation its authenticity, its aliveness, and its ability to stay with us long after the moment has passed. And that's why what matters most is not whether AI was used, but how it was used, and whether the person behind the work remained present, conscious, responsible, and actively involved in what they were creating. As this technology becomes more common, people will become increasingly sensitive to this distinction because they will be able to feel the difference between something that is fully generated by AI and something that carries the insight, wisdom, and lived experience of a real human being. And perhaps this is the deeper invitation here, because the rise of AI is not only revealing the power of technology, it is also reminding us of the value of what makes us uniquely human, and inviting us to bring more of that into everything we create, communicate, and share with the world. If this message spoke to your heart, I hope it encourages you to look beyond appearances, trust your inner discernment, and remember that every choice we make helps shape not only our own future, but the future we are creating together. Together, we raise the frequency of Earth every time one more person chooses to create, communicate, and contribute from a place of consciousness, authenticity, honesty, and integrity. See you in the next video, where we'll take another step toward health, balance, and higher vibration.